Welcome everyone. Thank you again for joining us. Today we have Mr. Mitko. He is going to talk about the 10 signs your testing is not enough. Mr. Mitko, he has 30 years of experience in the software quality assurance and more than 20 years as a project and test manager. He's one of the leading software test experts in Southeast Europe.
Okay.
Welcome, Mr. Mitko.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the presentation. Good evening, everybody. All right. I'm gonna share my screen now with the presentation. I hope everything will be all right. Okay. Welcome, everybody. My name is Mitko Mitev. I am originally from Bulgaria, and I live in the Netherlands right now for the last 20 years. I've been involved in many projects for many years in the area of software development and software testing. And today's presentation will be about the 10 signs your testing is not enough. So how do we know if the testing is not enough? This is a very frequently asked question because I believe most of you are involved in the IT industry and software development, so you know there are a lot of bugs generated during software development, and sometimes there are catastrophic, let's say, defects that lead to fiascos, and it's really bad public relation message for the companies, but also, as we say, the release of lousy product is probably a result of not noticing some very typical signs that your testing is not enough. Surely we have to make sure the minimum acceptable level of quality is available for our products. But of course, if we have issues, we need to analyze the reasons about it. If we need more to invest more resources, time or money in our software testing. And of course, there is a not enough versus not good enough concept. Well, I'm not a native speaker, but the difference is one is a quantitative, the other one is qualitative measure. So it's always the question between those two. A little bit of a background. According to some research lately, 26% of developer time is spent on reproducing and fixing failing tests and defects, which equals to 62 million developer hours a year. The total value of the salary spent on fixing failing tests annually is about $61 billion, and also equates to 1.2 trillion in enterprise value lost for shareholders per year. This is an enormous amount of money, and whoever says that quality is not important, I mean, check again these numbers. These are money that can be invested in many other things instead of fixing defects. Yeah, there is a concept called the cost of poor software quality, and I'm showing some information from their report, the US report for 2020. So the cost of poor software quality for the last year is about $2 trillion. Can you imagine that? It's really enormous amount of money, and most of the money is invested because of the operational failures, mainly because of operational failures. Lately, you know, of the rise of the cybersecurity issues that a lot of companies have been attacked, and you know, software has not been properly tested for the from security point of view. Of course, a lot of unsuccessful IT projects. This is usual situation every year, but what we noticed the last few years is that this amount doubled. It was believed about $130 billion in 2018, and now in 2020 it was doubled to 260 billion. And of course, a lot of money are spent on legacy systems. But the interesting part is also the technical debt, so-called technical debt concept, which is a concept that reflects the implied cost of additional rework caused by choosing an easy or cheap solution for speed development instead of using a better approach that will take longer and more money. So eventually, as you see, it costs a lot of money anyway. It's a $1.3 trillion. So all of you know a lot of about stories and horror stories because of defects in production systems. My favorite one is the Night Capital. Sorry, this one was company called Infinium that developed an algorithm for investments, stock on the stock exchange, trading algorithm. So only one defect in that trading algorithm caused a loss of 404 million in about 40 minutes. Infinium shut the algorithm down after only 3 seconds, but it already generated $1 million loss. And of course, at the end of the day, just for one business day, the company Night Capital stock went down 75%. I don't know how they ended up. I think because really the loss was 3 times the company annual earnings. It was really disaster for the company. So just because of one defect, so you see the effect of one defect. So we can talk a lot about concepts in the software quality area. Most of the time, or sometimes it's a lack of understanding about testing or management misunderstanding. There are some concepts that people believe in, like we don't have bugs and stuff. Let's face it, during the development of a product, software will have bugs. We always have bugs. As much as we hate to admit mistakes will be made, we are human beings, we are error prone. So the important part is that it's not that not to have bugs, but to fix them, to discover and to fix them. And of course, managers will say that testing is expensive. Well, it is an expense, but if it's well arranged, it's not expensive. But what is the alternative? If you don't discover the defects in the software, it will end up badly anyway. And testing in general is preventive by nature. The purpose of testing is to find defects on the early stages and fix them, assure the better quality at the end of the day. We don't need testers. You know, I'm hearing this because I've been involved in software testing for more than 25 years. And every now and then, every 5 years, I hear that we will end up jobless. Well, now with the new trends and new buzzwords like Agile and DevOps, they keep saying that we don't need testers. Well, in some big companies, they even change the names of the people who make sure quality is good enough. They call them with different names. They're not called testers or quality assurance anymore. They're called something else, but it doesn't really change the thing that we need people who understand the concept of software quality and testing. And by definition, it's a different skill set than development. So as much as we want to continue only with developers or DevOps, we still need the skill set that will make sure quality is on the right level for the software to be released. I just want to give you some highlights from the quality report for this year. Maybe the role a bit changed a bit for the quality assurance professionals. There are other things that are important right now, but still quality is the most important thing. Of course, we have COVID-19 and currently a lot of challenges and organizations that are taking advantage to upheaval and improve the entire approach to software quality, but we still need it. And as you see from this slide, the focus is on customer experience, usability testing, improving quality procedures and processes, but quality is still there. We still need to make sure it's acceptable quality at the end of the day. Not all is doom and gloom, in the area of software quality. We see some positive trends. From this slide, you can see that the budget for the next 6 years will basically raise by 50% in the area of software testing. There is a term called compound annual growth rate, which shows a growth of 60% annually for the next 6 years. So the money for software testing actually grows. These are the positive and negative trends during the last few years. You see, 2020 was a bit difficult year in all aspects, but we're back on track in 2021. These are the forecast expectations on the management level, what the expenditure will be for 2021. So let's talk about testing. So we have a couple of things here on this slide: software quality and testing quality, and you may end up with different results in different quadrants. As you see, you may think that you are in the upper right quadrant, but actually you may end up to be in the lower left because of a low quality of testing. So let's focus on those 10 hints or 10 signs that your quality is not on the right of testing is not on the right level. The most important sign is that the most obvious sign as well is that you have a lot of issues, a lot of defects discovered in production. This is an obvious sign that you should be investing more in software testing, as if a lot of bugs are discovered on the releasing software. An even larger issue that that just bugs that have been found on production, the bugs that have been found in software from early development and have survived multiple test cycles, which means the question is why they have not been discovered earlier. And not only investing more in testing, but also maybe the whole approach of software testing in your company is not the right one. Of course, if we have unknown issues, if we have known issues in production, then the question is, why do we have them? Of course, it can be a management decision, depending on the priority, on the severity on the issues, but at the end of the day, we want our software on the release, on the production side, to be as quality, with high quality as possible. And also the aspect of finding the issues by customers. This is really bad from business point of view. It's a first bad PR. Second, it may have disastrous effects. It depends on the severity on the issues, and of course, it's way more expensive to fix. So if the numbers of your defects discovered in productions are high, something's wrong with your testing. Another sign that your testing may be not good enough is that you have a lot of bugs in user acceptance during the phase of user acceptance testing. By definition, UAT is not supposed to find defects. It's supposed to build confidence on the product. So the defects should be discovered earlier in the stages during unit testing, integration testing, and system testing. And in this stage, it's mainly to find deviations with the requirements in intended design. So if you keep finding a lot of defects during the UAT, this shows also that you probably have problems in your testing process. The third sign that something may be wrong with your testing is the bug counts grow. As we say, we cannot control what we cannot measure. Never forget that without metrics, it will almost be impossible to quantify, explain, and even demonstrate software quality. They also provide quick insight of the status of the testing effort, influencing decisions, and so on. So, if you see the trend that the bug count keeps growing, this should be analyzed as soon as possible to find the reasons, because you may end up in a death spiral, so-called death spiral. So basically, this means the bug counts keep growing and exponentially sometimes, and you have no exit strategy, how to, where are the problems and how to get out of this death spiral. Of course, you can use some metrics to do that. The basic metrics that I will show you, they are really easy to apply, and they are really great for analytical trends. We have metrics, well, there are thousands of metrics out there, but I will mention only a few. We have metrics on 3 different levels: on a project level, on a department level, on company level. And here we have metrics that on a project level: requirements and requirement coverage, and defect open and close rates. These 2 metrics are often used for measure the state of the development of the project in the beginning, in the middle, and maybe at the end of the project, and what is the state of fulfillment, the requirements of business. So they are very easy, as you see, to calculate. Basically, covered requirements against the total number and the defects found before and after delivery. This is project level metrics. Also, as I said, we can use department level metrics: mean time to detect and mean time to repair. They show how long it takes the quality assurance team to find defects, and then demonstrates the amount needed to effectively remove those defects, fix them. So it's another way of measuring the effectiveness and efficiency of the project team. And of course, at the last level, it's a company level metrics. I recommend only one here. It's the number of issues reported by the customers, comparing to the total number of defects in the product. This shows the level of done, as we say, how much we succeeded in delivering quality product and succeeded in testing. Another sign that we can see our testing is probably not enough is when we compare to the competitors around. Always good to know what the competition of the partners are doing. You should always know your market. And if in case that you see that there is big discrepancy between the budgets that you invest in software testing and quality is way lower than your competitors, it's probably a sign that something's not good enough in your company. Not clear criteria. This is, of course, very important, the most important part of the definition of how much we need to test. And of course, it depends on your software development lifecycle. You can have different approaches. It can be a part of the acceptance criteria in your test plan if you're following WV or waterfall models. If you use Agile, maybe then you have a definition of done and you have some quality criteria there. But anyway, You have to know how much you test. It's like coverage, test coverage comparing to requirements or user stories, the execution percentages, of course, the acceptable according to the whole team and management levels of defects, major, minor, if no major then minor, and maybe plan for fixing the minor defects in order not to go into the death spiral thing that I mentioned just before. So this is one of the most important things that we can have. Another sign that something's wrong is so-called listen to the testers no. Always listen to your employees if they are raising legitimate issues. The value of the good software tester is not only to find defects, but also comprehending the whole project and understanding the values of the well-tested application. If you are considering releasing your software and your software testers are telling you that they didn't have enough time to test or the quality is not good enough, you better listen to your employees and analyze those issues that they raise. Because we have so-called lose-lose situation. In both cases, the testers are not in a good position. I used to play chess when I was younger, and I was even considering a career as a professional chess player. So in chess, we have a term called Zugzwang. I don't know if I say it correctly in German, which means you have no good move. It's your turn, and any move that you make is wrong. It's gonna give you worse position. So basically, that's a lose-lose situation. It's bad to say that quality is not good enough and there are a lot of defects because people blame you, but it's also not good enough to say the quality is okay and to release it to production, and then all these defects are discovered on production site and it's even worse. So this you can fix with clear roles and responsibilities, and everybody should be clear on the importance of the software quality experts and software test professionals that are in the team, so nobody's taking the blame at the end of the day. And we talk then about prevention. There are some certain steps that you can take in order to prevent the defects raising and bad quality. Of course, some of these practices are not really, very well accepted, let's say, because people think that they're not giving enough return on investment or added value. Requirements and assessment, it's known that nearly 50% of the bugs derive from the bad and unclear requirements of design, and they can be found really early in the process. So it is really important to do a requirements assessment. Also, definition of coding standards, good practice. Most companies have that nowadays, but before it was a bit different. And of course, reviews and inspection, that is what we call static testing. It's really important to find defects as early as possible in the process, because as we know from practice, discovering defects in production is way more expensive. Between 4 and 5 times more money has to be invested for recovery from the situation, also for bug fixing. So it's really important that we prevent that from happening. Another sign that your testing process is not good enough is no developers' involvement in the process. Some companies do not have unit testing, and they don't consider it important. Do not consider that your unit testing is not worth your time. We believe that unit testing should be written and executed by developers because they are as close as possible to the code. They are the authors of the code, and it's natural for them, and the quality of the software is, at the end of the day, a team responsibility. It's not only for the test team to to assure it. And of course, it's another way to find the defects as early as possible. This is a graph that I took from a paper, a lady called Elizabeth Hendrickson, and it's a graph that shows the choices that you can make. And basically, it says there are some natural negative effects on the quality, but there are also some management choices. So you can have a better testing, but actually worse quality. And it depends on the management at the end of the day. As you see, you can say the bugs are found, and then by management decision, the known bugs, they're not fixed, let's say, or for example, developers are not involved in testing enough. There is no bug prevention, as I mentioned, with some procedures and practices like inspections and review of the requirements and so on. Then we end up with the ninth problem that we can see as a sign for problems in the testing area, the time problem. We all have seen this offer that you can, we offer 3 different kinds of service, good, cheap, and fast, but you can only have 2 of them. It perfectly illustrates the state of testing service. It is really important to choose wisely what you would like to achieve and be very careful when not providing enough time for testing, and it will result in a not good software. So it's I know it's a trade-off, but good management team will decide and probably succeed in finding the balance between those 3 aspects. What we usually see in testing is that the time for testing is usually well planned in the beginning, but then it's squeezed. I don't know if you have seen projects that are running and ended on time. For my whole career, I don't remember how many projects we finished on time and in scope as the original plan. Probably they count on the fingers on my one hand. It's usually the situation when, because of later delayed developments, the testing is squeezed, and this results, of course, in not enough testing, not good enough testing, let's say, frustration in the testing team, forcing the testing team to make these rash decisions, and at the end of the day, we end up with bad quality. It's very often it happens. This is really a symptom for deeper problems in the project, but maybe not only in the project, but the process itself, and also maybe in the organizational, on the organizational side, because it's if it keep continuing like this, obviously something should be adjusted, let's say, in the strategy, on the business development, on the project development side, but you have to make sure you have enough time for testing. Also, happy employees tend to output better work, so no point of squeezing time and no point of making harsh decisions in a rush. You just have to make sufficient time and the resources to complete the project. If your testers keep quitting, that's the last sign. Obviously, this is the worst thing that can happen to your organization. There are many reasons why people quit their jobs. Sometimes they can be financial. I mean, they go across the street for better salary, but there are many times where the issues can be strictly professional, because of squeezing the testing, because of putting a lot of pressure on their shoulders. The testing team may be understaffed, and of course, all this situation, frustration level goes up. People burn out at the end, and they decide to go and pursue another career. Of course, we want to make sure testing is enough. What can we do? Of course, we can address those 10 signs, make sure they are not really relevant anymore for our organization. But also, we can have 3 things that can help us in the improving the testing process. Let's say the testing we can use it as a high-level risk management. It's an unusual practice in many companies. Also, the test reusability. It helps to not to reinvest time and effort and resources in the same things every now and then. And of course, automation. Test automation is a hot topic right now. As far as I know, in my company, the requests that we're getting for the last couple of years, 75% of them are for test automation experts. So automation is the future. That's what I think. As you see here in this slide, about 50 to 60% of the companies are already involved in test automation. And of course, I can give you some more challenges that you may discover during the process, like lack of talent, cost reductions that you can have that from time to time during crises and COVID. I don't know if your organization had that the last year, but yeah, that happens as well from time to time. The knowledge, the wider test coverage, that can be also a problem. Commercial tools, on-demand tools, and those kind of things. And of course, lately, with as I said, with the new ways of software development, the role of quality assurance experts change. It broadens actually. The mission is not only to find defects, but also to be business assurance, to find the defects prior to the production, and to make sure users are satisfied and the customers' experience is good enough. Of course, quality assurance is increasingly asked for a quality facilitator role, which in most cases in the teams, more and more managers see this as an important role. As I said, test automation is the new normal, and that's why people involved in the quality assurance area should be more and more technical nowadays. In the future, the artificial intelligence will play a bigger role in the QA. That's about it for 33 minutes. I think I was on time. I want to show you this slide. This is my company. We are Quality House. We are experts in software quality. We do outsourcing services for more than 17 years, covering European markets and the United States, operating from Eastern Europe. Thank you very much. I will be happy to take some questions, if any. Hello, Debbie. Nice to hear from you. It's been really tough lately not to be able to travel and go to conferences and meet people. I understand the concept of online conferencing, but I really miss the contact with human beings. So I've been a bit tired from talking from home and working from home as well. Any questions, guys? I will be happy to answer questions. You can find me in LinkedIn as well, and ask me questions. Drop an email as well. It's no problem. And of course, I can share the presentation later on as well.
For the moment, there's no questions, but there are a lot of good comments of your exposition, your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was really good having you here, making this presentation. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Just to remind you, if you do have any questions, you could write us to congress@a4q.eu if you do have any questions. And thanks again for joining us. This was 10 signs your testing is not enough with Mr. Mitko Mitev.
Thank you very much.
I would end this session.
Have a great evening, guys. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.